What's up, guys? I'm Tommy from Massenomics.
And I'm Tanner.
And today we got some helpful tips to make sure you can make some more time for the gym.
Talk about some tips and tricks for the busy lifter, the adult lifter. You know, you've got a full schedule, you got a bunch of stuff going on. So how do you still find time to make it in the gym? Tommy and I can both attest to this. We've both got, I don't know how many jobs we can count between the two of us.
Like, I don't know, it feels like 10 on any given day. We're both dads. We both got wives. We got, multiple kids. We got pets. We got way too much going on in our lives.
So many newborn babies between the two of us over the last few years. I don't even know. There's probably kids.
Yeah, I don't know if Tanner has 2 kids or 10. I lost track.
Yeah, so we do have very busy schedules. We got a lot going on, but we do speak from experience for this because we've managed to maintain gym schedules over that period of time, going through all this kind of stuff. And a lot of you probably can relate to this sort of thing. So the number one thing I'd say is you still have to make lifting a priority. It might not be the priority, but it needs to be a priority if you want to continue it. So it still has to be a piece of the puzzle. Might not be the biggest piece. It's not the most important all the time. It's not family, career, that sort of thing. Those might always be bigger and more important, but you have to find room for the lifting piece of the puzzle in that puzzle.
The first one on the list, adjust your lifting schedule. You might only be able to lift 3 or 4 days a week. Back in the day when you were a single guy, you had nothing but time on your hands. You might have went to the gym 5, 6, maybe you're crazy and went 7 days a week. When life gets busy, that's not an option anymore. You gotta take that number down a little bit. So that might be 4 days. That might be 3 days for some people. That might even be some weeks. There might only be 2 days you're making it. And the moral of the story here is you just got to get it in when you can. You got to make it happen when the time's available. So that might not be as much as you like, but you got to take advantage of the days you can get.
And I always think for a strength athlete, someone that's trying to get stronger, for this period of time, you might not be gaining as much strength. But if you can still make 3 days a week, if you can get them, even if the sessions aren't as long, we'll talk about some of that other stuff. But if you can at least on average make close to 3 days per week, you're doing pretty good. And sometimes that might be, maybe it's only 2, maybe other weeks you can get 4, but if you're on average getting close to 3, that's enough. Especially for periods of time sometimes that's always enough, but if you can hit that 3 days a week, you can continue to gain strength. You can get stronger. You can do serious training in 3 days a week. Then we're talking about warm-up times. Some of you might be used to getting in the gym, BSing, taking forever, get all your gear together, your supplements together, whatever your routine is. Talking about warm-up specifically, but this all kind of goes to it. Like the time that it takes for you to walk in the gym and do that first working set needs to be as fast as reasonably possible when you're on this more of a budgeted time schedule. So I've certainly done it before where I've probably taken 30 to 45 minutes before I actually almost start doing something. And you need to avoid that, and you need to go in it thinking of it consciously, making a serious decision to say, no, I'm walking in, I'm coming in prepared, and that first working set is going to happen within, 10 minutes of walking in the door. It's very possible to get that done if you're on a mission, and that will ultimately, there you go, you shave off 20 minutes just by doing it that way.
All right, next on the list, you've done a faster warm-up. What do you got to do next? You have to rest less between sets. No more getting to those top sets, sitting around for 15 minutes, talking with the boys, having a good old time, completely cooling off. No, you don't have time for that anymore. You're going to get done with your set. It might even help you to set a timer on your phone to keep you on track, but you're looking at only a couple minutes between sets, and that'll keep your workout moving faster. You'd be surprised. A common rep scheme might be 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 8, whatever you're doing, 5 sets of something. If you can cut that rest period down to 2 to 3 minutes, now all of a sudden your whole sets are looking at, somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes to complete a whole thing, where, 5 to 7 minutes between, you're looking at a half hour plus. So you're saving 10 to 15 minutes right there by just cutting down that rest time. And then when you move to accessories, also being conscious of it there and speeding up the time between accessories. Another tip that I like to do is, maybe if you're doing, let's say, a few different exercises, you can hit maybe an upper body accessory and then move on to a lower body accessory so you can keep things moving faster there too.
This one kind of dovetails perfectly into that. Then it's the idea of supersetting. And when you're doing accessories, that's the perfect time to be able to do some supersetting. Say maybe it's an upper body day, you're finishing with some arms, some biceps and triceps. Do a set of biceps, go to your triceps. This seems intuitive, like it doesn't even need to be said, but you can cut quite a bit of time with that superset because it almost makes it so you barely have to rest between half as many sets when you're doing that supersetting. So utilize the superset, especially as you get closer to the end of your workout.
And next on the list, we got make economical training choices. We all love to be in the gym. In a perfect world, we can sit in there for 2-3 hours, not have anyone calling us, telling us to come home because there's an emergency or someplace we got to be. But sometimes you got to be fast. And part of being fast is making smart choices in the gym. Maybe you get done with your benching and you do biceps, triceps, maybe one shoulder exercise, and you're out of there. You might only get three accessories on that day. But you got to make smarter choices and just understand that you don't necessarily have the time to do every accessory on your list every single time you're in there.
One more thing to consider is you might not get the perfect time to train that you like. You know, Tommy and I, we used to be 5:30 p.m. lifters. You know, we get done with work, we come in, we get to the gym between 5 and 6 p.m., and then we're probably there till 8 p.m. And it was a sweet time. You know, it was fun to train during that time. We had a lot of fun doing it. But you might have to have a change to your schedule. We've got a lot of people we train with that they have to start coming at 4 or 5 a.m., but they make that decision that they still want to get their training in, so they go early before work. Or, you know, I switch to where I go over my lunch hour more often. Or we've got several people like at Massenomics gym that they'll come in and they won't lift until 9 p.m., presumably when they've got their family and other responsibilities done with for the day. Then they come in at 9 p.m., get done with by 10:30 p.m. You know, it's probably eats into their bedtime routine a little bit, but they're willing to make that change. And I think that's the important thing to consider is you're probably not going to get your always perfect time. And you might have to get used to even rotating schedules. You might not always even get to be a 5 a.m. lifter. You know, maybe some weeks you get to lift in the morning. Some days during the week it's noon, and sometimes it's evening. You got to kind of take what you get at a certain point. When it becomes a lower priority, but still making it a priority, you do it when you can.
And this last one is the ultimate hack out of them all. And it's maybe the most expensive option, but that's a home gym. And this is something you know slightly more about than I do, Tanner, but a home gym gives you that flexibility because you don't have a commute anymore. You can walk, whether it's in your garage, your basement, whatever your preference is to elevation there. You can just walk right over and get that lift in. You take the commute out. You take the worrying about other people being on the equipment out, and you know what other variables that might get thrown your way when you're not in control of the situation. So a home gym can be a massive time saver for some people. Downsides are it's fairly expensive if you have certain piece of equipment you want to get, or you start. I've heard some guys once they get into the hobby, it can get away from them in a hurry.
Well, if you're going to have a home gym, you got to have all the coolest stuff too. I mean, it's a time saver, but also you want it to be a pretty sweet home gym.
Yeah. You don't want to cheap out on it.
No, you're going to need a lot of barbells at home and quite a bit of, full sets of dumbbells up to 150 pounds. You don't skimp, but you can rest assured knowing you're going to save some time by having that home gym and not having to do the commute. Also, though, realistically, you can, like if you're a family person, then it's probably a lot easier if you're out in your garage training. You can be hanging out with your kids while you're doing that in a way. You can incorporate them in the stuff you're doing, where maybe it's a little more difficult to have them in a commercial gym setting with little kids doing that sort of thing. But if you're at home, you can kind of multitask a little bit in that way. So home gym is a pretty cool option.
So there it is. That's our list. Tanner, how do you feel about that? Did we get everything? Did we miss anything?
Well, it's hard to say we got everything, but luckily we've got some really intelligent viewers watching this, and they can do us a favor. Drop us a comment down in the comment section here. Let us know what it is that you do as a busy individual, with someone with a working man's, a working woman's schedule. How do you find time to make sure to still get your training in? What are your tips and tricks? What did we miss? After you leave us a comment, make sure you're also liking the video and subscribing to the Massenomics YouTube channel, of course. We've got a new video out every single week. Also, make sure you're checking out the Massenomics podcast, a new episode of that every week.
And while you're at it, make sure you hop over to the Massenomics website. Go buy some tees, hoodies, drink spotter, all that good stuff. See you next time.